to gain social support, status, protection, to expand their friend circle. So it is possible that they give more importance to such external factors, and they might be more inclined to an external locus of control. The sample size for the research was 190, and the religious composition of the sample was proportionate to the religious composition of the Indian population. All of the sample was urban and educated. There was no age limit. Now we'll look at the tools. We used 4 tools. The first one was the Religious Orientation Scale by Allport and Ross, which was developed in 1967. It had 2 domains, intrinsic and extrinsic. It had good psychometric properties, reliability and validity, as you can see on the screen. The sample items for extrinsic religious orientation was, although I am a religious person, I refuse to let religious considerations influence my everyday affairs. For intrinsic religious orientation, a sample item is, quite often I have been keenly aware of the presence of God or the divine being. The second tool was Levenson's Locus of Control Scale, which was developed by Hannah Levenson in 1981. It has 3 domains: internal locus of control, powerful others, and chance. Again, as you can see on the screen, it has really good psychometric properties. I'll read out the sample items. For internal locus of control, the sample item is, my life is determined by my own actions. For powerful others, I feel like what happens in my life is determined by powerful people. Chance, when I get what I want, it's because I'm lucky. The third tool is a very popular tool by Peter Hills and Michael Argyle, which was developed in 2002. It's the Oxford Happiness Questionnaire. It gives a global score on happiness, and it has really good reliability and validity. Let's look at some of the sample items. Life is good. I often experience joy and elation, and I have very warm feelings towards almost everyone. The last tool was the Connor-Davidson Resilience Scale, developed in 2003 by Catherine Connor and Jonathan Davidson. It also gives a global score on resilience. The sample items are, I can deal with whatever comes my way, and I tend to bounce back after illness, injury, or other hardships. So I'll talk about the results we found. Neither happiness nor resilience was correlated with intrinsic or extrinsic religiosity. All the correlations were insignificant. For the next part, we correlated intrinsic and extrinsic religiosity with locus of control, and we found that both intrinsic and extrinsic religiosity was correlated with an external locus of control, which was a little inconsistent with our review. However, as you can remember, there was a moderate correlation between extrinsic and intrinsic religiosity, so which could have caused intrinsic religiosity to correlate with an external locus of control, which is why we conducted partial correlation analysis. And after controlling for the effect of extrinsic religiosity, there was no correlation between locus of control and intrinsic religiosity anymore.
Further, when we studied the correlations between happiness and resilience with locus of control, we found that happiness was negatively correlated with an external locus of control, both the factors, powerful others as well as chance, while it was significantly and positively correlated with an internal locus of control, very much as we had expected. In the case of resilience also, we found a similar picture. It was negatively and substantially correlated with powerful others and chance, as well as positively and substantially correlated with an internal locus of control. In the regression analysis that we conducted, we tried to study happiness as a dependent variable and locus of control as the predictor variable. A significant regression equation was found, as we can see. The F ratio was 22.782 and the R square was 0.269. What we found was that an internal locus of control is the highest significant predictor of happiness. In the regression analysis that we carried out to study locus of control and resilience, resilience was the dependent variable and locus of control was the predictor variable. Again, a significant regression equation was found. As we can see, the F is 13.983 while the R square is 0.184. We found that an internal locus of control is the most significant predictor of resilience.
We'll now move on to the discussion of the results we found. Religious orientations were found to be uncorrelated with happiness and resilience, which was inconsistent with previous findings. The cause for this could be the declining tendency of religiosity itself. It could be because India is a secular country, so secularism is a constitutional value which could percolate into people's everyday behavior also. Also high tolerance levels which are promoted and encouraged by Eastern religions like Hinduism, which constituted most of the sample. So because of this, it's more easy for people to look beyond their religion. So they can even turn atheists in some cases. We also found this while collecting data that people were really unwilling to identify with their religion. Some of them asked not to mention their religion. Some of them put their nationality as their religion. And there were some cases who actually said that in the column for religion, they said, I am born to Hindu parents, but I am not a Hindu. So you can see how they do not like to identify with their religion. This declining tendency of religiosity is supported by Burris's work he did in 1994, which said that intrinsic and extrinsic religious orientations do not really have a negative relationship overall. They have a curvilinear relationship. So which means that as you go above the intrinsic midpoint, there is a negative relationship, and as you go below the intrinsic midpoint, there is a positive relationship between the two orientations. And as you can remember from our results, we did find that there was a small correlation, significant correlation between intrinsic and extrinsic religious orientations. So Burris actually termed this phenomenon as irreligiosity, because in this case both intrinsic and extrinsic scores are very low. So this supports our statement that religiosity shows a trend of declining. The next finding was that extrinsic religious orientation correlated with an external locus of control. As we said in the proposed model, people who are high on extrinsic religious orientation do give more importance to external factors, and so they're more likely to be on the external side of the locus of control continuum. However, what was not consistent with the model was intrinsic religious orientation was not correlated with locus of control. So this could be because people who are high on intrinsic religiosity could go both ways. They could actually look at religion as a source of strength and support, but be ready to solve their own problems using that strength, or they could blame God and believe in the law of karma and determinism, because that's what the fundamental teachings of the religion offer. So because there are both possibilities, we did not find a clear correlation. The next finding was internal locus of control significantly predicted both happiness and resilience, and an external locus of control negatively predicted happiness and resilience, which was what was hypothesized. It's because people who are high on internal locus of control believe that they can control what happens to them, what happens in their life. So they are more likely to take efforts to be happy or to efforts to cope with stress. And people who are high on external locus of control are less likely to take these efforts because they don't believe that their efforts can actually affect their life. So this is why people who are high on internal locus of control are more happy and more resilient. We'll talk about the limitations of this study. Firstly, we did not consider atheism or irreligion at all. The second thing is the sample was all urban and educated, and the age of the sample was not controlled. So based on this, the further directions for research could be firstly taking socioeconomic class as a variable. Secondly, we could also conduct qualitative research to find out the causes of declining religiosity and substitutes for religious support. So since we have found in past studies that religion does contribute to happiness and resilience, or it is related to positive outcomes, and now that it doesn't, so we could look at the sources now for happiness and resilience that have replaced religion. Thirdly, we could also look at happiness, locus of control and resilience between religious and non-religious people.
With this, we come to the end of our presentation. We would again like to thank the organizers for giving us a chance to present our project at the European Conference on Ethics, Religion and Philosophy. Thank you.
If anyone would like to contact us, our email IDs are advaitadesh@gmail.com, which is adwaitadesh@gmail.com, and Dr. Megha Devskar, which is drmeghadeuskar@gmail.com. Thank you.